Okay, and that was just a reminder that the census is on. As promised prior to the break, I have with me now our first guest in the studio. I have Mr. Lench Fevrier. I hope I pronounced it correctly. He is the Senior Technical Specialist for the Agriculture Sector at the OECS Commission, and he's in Grenada, all part of the support to the development of the island's Blue BioTrade sector. The Blue BioTrade sector project, was launched in 2020 and falls under the OECS EU RIGHT program, and the project is coming to a close in 2022. So, Mr. Lench, just give us just a bit of a background, just to refresh the minds of the viewing audience about this particular project.
Thank you. This project began in October of 2020, and it is a value chain study on the Conch, I believe you call it lambi, for 3 countries: Saint Lucia, Saint Vincent, and Grenada. It is funded by the European Union under the 11th EDF to the tune of €300,000. It's a collaborative effort between the OECS, UNCTAD, and CITES. And this project is going to be coming to an end. Well, the final workshop will be in end of May, the 24th or 25th of May, and will be held in Saint Vincent. However, this project, one of the key objectives is to look and to examine the gaps in the value chain and to seek to develop initiatives to move forward and to support the farmers and the key stakeholders in the value chain.
Okay. You said the main focus is on the Conch. We call, well, most of us locally, lambi. The project was launched in October 2020. Just give us a breakdown as to how that project was executed in terms of what had to be done, in terms of identifying, what do we say, fishermen, the people who here we say dive lambi, and so what exactly was taught to them, and what is it that the project was hoping to achieve?
First of all, this project is the first phase of an initiative, and the primary objective of this project is to do an assessment and analysis of the conditions that all the stakeholders in the value chain, especially the fishers, the divers, what were the issues and the constraints. For example, we identified that in all 3 countries, most of the divers dive in depths of over 90 feet of water, and therefore it has an implication to risk.
Bends and so.
Yes, bends, equipment, training for the farmers. We also identified the issues that exist in terms of market access, and so these are some of the issues that we identified. And moving forward, there'll be additional initiatives to seek to identify, to support some of the key gaps that have been identified.
So what are some of the gaps you would say that has been identified?
Earlier this week, I had an interesting conversation with one of the divers who indicated to me that he spent over $50,000 treating the bends. He indicated that he had to have money up front for him to even start the treatment. So the issue of insurance is part of it. Training, certification, access to market is some of the gaps identified.
Okay, and is it that your team is working with the fisher folks throughout the length and breadth of Grenada, or because it's a project you identified a few and concentrated on those areas?
Well, first of all, there is a consultant in the name of Alexander Govan that the project had engaged, and he would have come in interviewed the farmers, the stakeholders. We also would have engaged the all stakeholders, not only the farmers, but the policy makers, the support industries for the conch industry, and to first of all identify what the issues are. This week we were actually on ground with a team. A small team to create a small 10-minute video documentary throughout the islands that is going to would interview all the farmers, the fishers, the stakeholders, and to create a small 10-minute video that would be aired on institutions as GIS, etc., across the region, to at least educate the common people about the issues of the industry.
So when it comes to a close at the end of May, how long a period after will one be able to have access to the comprehensive report, to the suggestions in terms of improvement and so going forward?
Not long, because the final workshop would simply be the coming together of the stakeholders to discuss and to accept the recommendations going forward. We've already identified certain key initiatives, key partners that we are already working with for us to do some additional interventions in the sector.
And it is happening simultaneously between Grenada, Saint Vincent, and St. Lucia, you said. So what are some of the similarities in terms of suggestions and points and observations among the three islands as we talk the whole issue?
One of the key similarities we notice is that in all three countries, the dive depth for the conch is in excess of 90 feet in most cases. We also note that I recognize that a stock assessment needs to be done for all countries. I believe that Saint Vincent is in the process of doing one. I think Grenada is also discussing it and will probably engage in one. It's also required for Saint Lucia. We need to know exactly what are the conditions that are existing down over for the resource, and we also need to look at probably planning the extraction of the resource even better, not only from the point of view of Grenada, but the point of view of the region, the OECS in particular.
Okay, so that stock count, that will be done by locals, or there will be experts coming in, or how you propose that stock count be done?
My personal opinion in regards to the stock count, we're working in the industry that we need to look inwards first to see what maybe even train our divers to be able to do that stock count, and if it means bringing in, say, an expert to show them how to teach them how to do it, and then monitor and support them in the process of doing the stock count.
Okay, and do you believe, based on, I don't know how many times you visited Grenada in terms of making checks and balances and so, that we know that the pandemic would have put a pause on a lot of things? You said you started in 2020. We had lockdowns and so, were you able to cover all the grounds and retrieve all the information necessary within these challenging times in terms of getting what was needed to?
Actually, that was a constraint in terms of the persons on ground engaging the farmers. A lot of it had to be done virtually, not only for this project, but most of the project that were being executed during the pandemic time, especially when it started. Thankfully, right now, it appears that the lockdown restrictions are easing, and we can actually go out there. And as a matter of fact, that is why I'm actually in Grenada. It is an opportunity now for us to come on ground, interview the farmers, for material for the interview. I had the opportunity to actually meet the permanent secretary, Kim Fedrick, responsibility for fisheries, and it was a very, very good conversation. And in that conversation, it was a dual virtual conversation. Other partners were on the call, and that gave us the opportunity to discuss comprehensively what are the issues for the conch industry, for Grenada, in particular the regulatory and reporting requirements as it pertains to CITES, and to discuss a path to ease the current restrictions and so that Grenada conch fishers will be able to and processable to export internationally.
Okay, and how much in this whole process that went along, how much of a concern was it in terms of, well, in Grenada we say season open, season closed. Is there a season for the conch as well?
When you look at the free conches in particular, there are no seasons yet, but I think a stock assessment will be a key determinant in determining whether or not a season or close period would be required. So therefore, critical in that assessment, in that decision would be a stock assessment. So that decision can only be made after a stock assessment is made.
So based on your experience, your expertise, how long after you wrap the study would you recommend that a stock assessment be done?
Well, as I said earlier on, in my discussion with Piers Fedrick, there is active plans for stock assessment to be done. So I believe the Grenada authorities already are moving on that.
Okay. So any other pertinent information you think you need to share as it relates to that special project that you're here in Grenada for?
The conch industry or conch lambi is a very, very important industry, not only to Grenada but to the OECS as a whole. And I think once the key constraints could be addressed, and the resource managed sustainably, I think it will only augur well for the development of the economy and for contribution to the economy. So I think that there's a lot in a bright future once it's managed properly for the conch industry in Grenada and the OECS as a whole.
Okay, and your team, when does your team wrap up?
Well, the team left this morning. I am here until Friday morning.
Okay. And is there a return date prior to the final workshop or so?
Not right now, not planned, but it is my expectation that there is another project that is just spinning up, and I would expect that there will be significant engagement in that regard.
Okay. Thank you very much, viewers. You were speaking there with Mr. Lench Fevrier. He is the Senior Technical Specialist for the Agricultural Sector at the OECS Commission, and he brought us up to speed on that project here in Grenada. They're focusing on the conch, getting whatever necessary information, and to me, one of the most important things that came out is the stock assessment, because conch is what do we see, a delicacy. It is something that Grenadians love, so we have to ensure that we can have that ready supply. Some people look for what we call picket, the very small ones. So I guess when you do this stock business, you would know how that goes, because people like picket conch, which we say picket lambi, the very small one, which is soft. So, you know, I guess in all the discussions, the divers may give you all those types of information. Whether there are rules governing what size they're supposed to be when you harvest them, I'm not sure. But I believe with this study, the divers will be made more aware of what they should and shouldn't do. And as you said, most importantly, I hope that information was shared with them as it relates to the depth and ensuring that they have enough oxygen, because we do know that over the years we've lost a few divers to bends. They're running out of oxygen underneath the water and so forth. So let's hope that everything works out in the best favor of all. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.